Alright, so this is just a little review of this 999 that I built with the 1198S engine and swing arm swap and full traction control, Microtech ECU, and a bunch of other goodies. Um, I'm probably going to put this bike up for sale, so like I do with many of my builds, so I can keep building more stuff. And so this video is just a little walk around. I took the fairings off so I can get into the details of the engine swap. But it has full 999 fairings, and it looks just like a 999, except for the rear end, obviously. It's running the 1098 Showa front end with the traction control sensor, so that we can run the 1198S traction control. The wiring harness is full 1198S. The trickiest part of this swap was the airbox, because the 1198 frame does not have a cross member in the middle of the frame, which is right in here. You can see that metal tube going through the middle there. That cross member is not in the 1098, 1198, 848 frame. That frame has a bigger main tube and a little less structural support inside the frame and up at the steering head. So the way that we got around that was a custom airbox. So you can kind of see how that actually came out here. So this is a 1198 airbox on the bottom, and you can see this is the airbox typically has a seam that goes all the way up, but here it's cut. So there's a cut that was made all the way around, and here the cut had to go up through the box and had to get a little bit creative with ABS welding. And then the top of the airbox is a 999 airbox. So we took a 999 airbox top and the lip underneath the top, so the lip section of the bottom of the 999 airbox, that was cut, and then that was welded onto an 1198 airbox at the right angle and position to make everything work. So it got a little bit tricky back here. I have some pictures of that that I'll add here to the video as well. And then the throttle bodies, everything is 1198. Inside the airbox, there's a little bit less clearance. The 1198 airbox has injectors built into the box itself. The 999 does not. The 999 uses similar shower injectors, but they're not. They're sitting on top of the velocity stacks, not the airbox. So we used velocity stacks from a 1199 panigale. Those are shorter, so they should make a little bit more top-end horsepower. And we used the shower injectors from the 1199 as well, which matches the shorter stack, and that fits perfectly inside this setup. And the injectors were wired in to the 1198 wiring harness. They use different pigtails and connectors than the 1198 injectors. And the battery mount, everything is 999, so we fit the 1198 wiring harness to that. Not a big deal. Rear end, the geometry is actually very similar to the 1198. I have an 1198 actually right next to it. It's covered up, but that's what I'm doing all of my benchmarking for the geometry, and Dave Moss and Catalyst Reaction will be helping with the final tuning of the suspension. And another interesting bit here, we made a little adapter plate to mount the 1198 gauges to the 999 mount, so that it all works and looks fairly OEM-ish. Nice steering damper on there, came from the donor bike, and some Rizoma controls. That's about it. I think that covers most of the bike and the setup. The exhaust was interesting. We can talk a little bit about that and kind of what we had to do with the traction control sensor in the back here. The exhaust, we basically just had to make a slight modification here. It's behind this carbon fiber frame, but you can kind of see it's a custom welded pipe. We removed the exhaust valve servo from here, made a custom pipe to join basically this up pipe to the mufflers, and that's really all that needs to be done to make it fit perfectly with the 999 tail. So this is a 999 subframe, 11/9/8 swing arm, so the exhaust up until here fits perfectly. From here, to make it work with the tail, the angle is slightly changed and slightly different compared to the 11/9/8 tail. So that's the one main change that we had to make here. And then in the back, we had to add the traction control sensor. If I can get this open. Yeah, there we go. So we fabricated this little tray here, which holds the traction control sensor exactly in the right position as designed. I actually have a very similar tray on the 11/9/8 track bike, because the track bike doesn't have the fairing, the plastic fairing where this originally mounted to. So this is a simple, elegant solution. Because of clearance, we actually had to cut out some of the seat. So I'll clean this up a bit more, but basically we just cut out this structural frame because the traction control sensor needs a place to sit. It was pushing up on this a little bit too much. So it's still a snug fit. Obviously you can't use the back anymore, but I wanted this bike to be able to carry, be able to ride two up, carry a passenger. So I used a biposto tail so it can comfortably hold a passenger. It's a custom tail light LED, and the plate, it's on the scrappy end of things. It's not, you know, super beautiful, but it does its job, and I'm pretty happy with it. Cosmetically, I did buy this tail used off of eBay, so it's got some little marks on it. I applied the good old zip tie stitch here. This the plastic that holds this screw in is the tab is cracked, so without these it would separate. So yeah, adds character. And the tank is overall in pretty good condition. I had tape on here holding on my Microtech stuff, so I'll get that cleaned up. And the ECU was tuned by Factory Pro, Mr. Mark. So it's a proper beast. Let me get it started. The one thing that I would like to adjust, which I can do in the Microtech, is when you turn the key, the shower injectors give it a little spritz. It needs 3 spritzes to turn on. So we can modify that and just have it spray for a little bit longer. And that would solve that. So let's try to get it going here. Cold start. That's 1, 2, 3.